Drawing units. The first thing we do when we start a drawing is we're going to go up and we're going to use a QNew command. We're going to start a new drawing. And it's going to bring up select a template. We're going to use the AutoCAD.dwt drawing. This is really the imperial drawing. US imperial are feet and inches. And I'll say open. Now, the very next thing you do, other than starting a new drawing and picking your template, is going to drawing units. We can go to drawing units by going up to our application menu. We go into drawing utilities and we go to units. We're going to get a dialog box of the drawing units. AutoCAD doesn't have a unit. You tell it what a unit is. A unit could be 1 inch, it could be 1 millimeter, it could be 1 mile, it could be 1 light year. So you have to tell what it is. Typically we're going to use 2 basic types here. When I click on the types, we're going to either go with architectural for any of our construction management or architecture type projects, or we're going to go with decimal for things like welding, mechanical, machine tool, structure, actually package design is decimal. It's kind of a mechanical. They have to make the packages. There are some other ones here. We have engineering. Engineering is used for civil and survey. And we also have fractional. This is the old way of doing mechanical. They used to do it in 1 foot 1/16 of an inch. They don't do that anymore. They do it in decimals now. And we also have scientific. Scientific puts it and uses for astronomy. It also uses for chemical engineering. So we're going to go typically with decimal or architectural. Our precision is how much do we round it off? How precise is our measurement? If there's decimal and we're to 4/1000ths, this part's going on the space shuttle. It's being machined to 10,000ths of an inch. Typically an average machine shop goes to three decimal places or 1,000ths of an inch. So we're going to make a decision on how accurate it is. So if I was building your house and I go to architecture, I want a precision of about 1/8 inch. No carpenter is going to measure to 1/28 of an inch. You can't find that on your ruler. And they're actually 2x4s are not that straight, and so they generally measure to the nearest 1/8 of an inch. Now, if we're going to measure an angle, these are for lengths. If we're going to measure an angle, we have basically 5 different types, but we really only use 2 of them. Decimal degrees is the most popular by far, but civil engineers and surveyors will use degrees, minutes, decimals. So they'll say it's 45 degrees. They can break it up into minutes. In other words, there's 60 subdivisions of each degree. And then they could break up each minute into 60 more subdivisions. In other words, they can break up each degree into 360th of a sub-segment. We're going to go with decimal degrees. So in other words, when the precision is 0, it's either going to be 45 degrees or 46 degrees. It's got to be one or the other. If we set the precision to be 1 decimal place, we can have 45.1 degree or 45.5 degrees. 45.5 degrees is halfway between 45 degrees and halfway to 46 degrees. So typically the most common precision for angles is degrees, decimal degrees with a precision of 1 decimal place. AutoCAD measures its angles going counterclockwise. So we're going to go counterclockwise to measure angles. So we start off with 0 over towards the east at 3 o'clock. 90 degrees is up to the north at high noon. 180 degrees is over to the west over at 9 p.m. and 270 degrees is down at the bottom at to the south. We always go counterclockwise. When we insert things later on in AutoCAD 2 class, we'll typically insert them to inches. Okay, we don't change this in AutoCAD 1. The lighting, this is for our 3D modeling with AutoCAD class. We'll cover it in that class. This is for rendering and animations. So we want to make sure that these 4 boxes are set And typically these are going to be what we'll use for both architecture and mechanical. Architecture will typically be architecture with an 1/8 inch. Mechanical we'll go with decimal, and depending on what we're building, if it's in a machine shop, 3 decimal places. Sometimes it might be less, 2 decimal places if we're cutting it with our hand saw and our skill saw. All right, and then when we're done, we hit OK.